because real estate is a great means of wealth creation.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Richer Geek Podcast. Today we have Moshe Popack. He's a visionary, third generation entrepreneur. He leads YMP Real Estate Management LLC, overseeing diverse property portfolios across 6 different states. He's passionate about community well-being. He founded YMP Family Foundation and Neighborhood Farms USA. Promotes healthy nutrition, local collaboration as the host of Common Denominator Podcast. Check it out, everybody. Moshe and notable thought leaders offer expert insight and actionable strategies. How you doing, Moshe?
I'm doing great. We're actually recording today on election day, right?
We are.
Right. I don't know when it's going to be posted, but
Probably
it's just
2 weeks.
amazing, right? I don't know what's going to happen, what's going to be obviously big changes on either side, but the point of our podcast, Common Denominator, is that we sit and talk about, instead of things that divide us, which we're dealing with right now, that angst between family members, which I've heard, and friends, but instead we talk about the things that bring us together, things that bring us to our potential as humans, right? Being successful and having a good mindset and purpose, things like that.
And that's so important because, I talk to my friends. You're right. It seems like no matter who wins the election, something's going to burn down or be destroyed, because we're so divided. Doesn't matter who, someone on the other side is going to start either the riots or burning downs or who knows what. And that's how far it used to be. Here it was, election. This person won, this person lost. You go about your life and deal with it. Now it's like the mental health. People just cannot accept anything that is different from them, different from their opinions.
The strangest thing, Jerry Seinfeld just said, he was so frustrated that his kids' school are giving off the next day on Wednesday for basically a mental health day. Like, have we gone that far? Right? It's supposed to be like this great thing in America, right? Like election day, the super cool, and that's how far we've gone. I hope we've known through history, sometimes you have to reach a certain point and then people just get sick and tired, right? So
I think
we'll
there's
see.
hopefully there's always a correction. You look at some of the things that are just gone so far away from the norm in society and business, corporations, personal lives. There has to be, and I'm starting to see it. I'm maybe crossing my fingers that we're getting back to a median, back to the middle a little bit, because both sides, they've just gone so far, bam, that people are now pushing back. It's like, you know what? That's not okay. It was
Yeah.
whether it was a fad or whatever it was, the thing of the moment. Let's get back to the middle,
Yeah.
where we all get along. But yeah, we'll see. So Moshe, tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into what you do and your business. Who is Moshe?
So I'd say, I guess in my nature, I guess I'm a deep empath, but yet a contrarian. I guess I'm a seeker in my nature, constantly reading, constantly speaking to people, curious, wanting to understand things. In relation to business, in its nature, once it becomes establishment, once the majority of smart people start talking about things, right? Opportunity, it's after the opportunity. The opportunity is to take, calculated risk and to get higher returns. But we moved down here from New York, my wife and I, just our journey, had a job. I went to law school, business school. I had 3 kids. I have 11 children now, and I had 3 kids at the time in 2009. I had no job and grit, resilience, blood, sweat, and tears for both my wife and I. We're, I guess, co-chairman, chairwoman, chairman. We work together
Hmm.
in our company, YMP Real Estate, multifamily office and assisted living. And I tell people it's miracles, but it's a combination of doing everything that you possibly can. So we take broken real estate,
Hmm.
and then we turn it around and uh, and refinance and hold it for long term. Because real estate is a great means of wealth creation.
Hmm. Absolutely. Do you do this on your own? Do you do JVs, funds, syndications?
So through the years, as asset values have continued to go up, we've been able to refinance,
Hmm.
buy out kind of high net worth partners. Now, most of the properties, it's my wife and I, and we have our own, again, my own management that we do in separate office division, separate multifamily division, and separate assisted living division. And and so now we're very close. In a few weeks from now, we have track record, great IRRs over 10-year plus, actual returns, actual track record that we've put together for our fund one. That we're
There
going to
you
go
go.
to sovereign wealth, institutional partners to try to, we'll call it opportunistic Southeast real estate investments for the long term. So we're going to be doing that, and I'm excited about that. It's different
Mhm.
reporting otherwise, but it's definitely exciting.
Yeah, it was very different for me. I did my own thing, then had a JV. It was like, yeah, there's one other person, and all of a sudden you start doing syndication. It's like, well, wait a minute, now I need a portal, and now I need this person, updates and doing all these different. It becomes encapsulating. So good for you. What are you concentrate in the Southeast? Or?
Yeah, it's both basically the Southeast. I mean, we have a property in New Jersey, but we
Hmm.
have North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, majority in Florida. I live in Miami,
Yeah.
right? Uh, and our office is in kind of Fort Lauderdale area.
Yeah.
And kind of right now, the past year, again, to that contrarian perspective.
Hmm.
And I know you've seen the front page of the Wall Street Journal that office space is the worst.
Yeah.
And um, as we're seeing the Fed lower interest rates, right, were you able to buy, 50 cents or below on the dollar for office buildings? And then you're seeing the numbers of South Florida where 90% plus are back to office and the rents are still rising. Plus, you have 1,000 people net migration still moving to Florida and a very healthy business climate, low regulation.
Hmm.
So I think it's all the corners recipe for hopefully good business results and returns.
Yeah,
So
and I think, those people that are really smart in the real estate space, you don't buy where everyone else is buying. It's too late. What's the need? And I think that office, it's the same. It's like, my next 1031, it's like going, man, I'm just kind of itching. Is that office space here in the Phoenix area or, that type of area? Is that it? And I like that mindset of, because I think people are going to come back to work. It may not be the big corporate buildings, but maybe the Regis type things, where you have an office and a whole bunch of small offices in, a central place. But I don't know, but let's talk a little bit about you're doing so much. How do you, with your wife, how do you balance it? Loving children, this business. I mean, my goodness,
funny,
except a lot of meditation, maybe.
I know I just took a breath on this one.
Yeah.
So um, it has to be greater than you, the purpose and the drive, because if you're gonna, there are good days and there happen to be a lot of tough days.
Hmm.
There are days where you're being pulled every which way. Um, I think it's a point, maybe it was about 8 years ago. As we were growing, I told my wife, I said, I can work 80 hours and you'll never see me.
Hmm.
And, but we decided I basically have a home office. We worked together. So we hired a CEO and then I'm able to see the kids. I'm able to drive the kids and in between make my phone calls. I call myself a recovering ADHD. So,
I need to
so
recover. Yeah,
right, recovery. It's just if you're a businessman, right? It's the guys in the back of the class that just didn't do well in school and whatever. I mean, I did go to law school, business. I did do that, but it wasn't really for me.
Mhm.
It's you want to be around people, do things, hustle, create things. My grandfather used to say, if the kids are not meant for school, just give them a job, put them to work, let them make money. You know. Uh,
Absolutely. I think that's where, a lot of things are going wrong. There's nothing wrong with trade schools.
yeah.
College is not for everyone. I don't understand this whole, you got to get people into college. Um, we
Yeah.
need the trade schools, right? I mean, if they're good with their hands, man, you can make a lot of money being an electrician, plumber.
My exactly that point. My 13-year-old said, um, I want to become a plumber. And it was very interesting. He's like, I read that there's a shortage of plumbers
Mm-hmm.
and I could work on these big development projects as I grow. And he's like, even where there's less competition, I can move to like, I don't have to do it in Florida. I could
Right.
do it in Georgia or somewhere else where they just a high demand
Yeah.
and they need it, right? And they need it. And I was like, oh, that's really smart of you. There's no shame in that. Again, all the youth are looking for, the tech or the influencer or things like that. No, you're young, you're healthy, just get at it, right? Get
That's
at it
right.
and make things happen. But so that that really helped. I mean, I work on a calendar. I
Mhm.
I try to my 11 kids. So I try to have 1 hour with each kid undivided once every 2 weeks. So my wife and I will switch off. It's like one-on-one time. We're not doing anything where I got to tap in and see kind of where you are. My oldest is 18, the baby's 9 months, right? So doing that, but no movies, no TV, none of
Mhm.
that, right? And constantly, on Sundays, strategists, okay, what's going to be during when the kids finally go to sleep? Okay, what's my calendar look like? And it's just being in the moment, day by day and I train martial arts for 13 years. I find the one thing that helps so much is not being reactive. To be able
Mhm.
to have those few seconds to breathe, and I think that that's super important. CEOs or people running businesses, because the reaction there's a ripple effect because it wasn't controlled.
Right.
Right, so you breathe, you're able to see what the situation is, and you could think because you're constantly in business, constantly having to make decisions,
Mhm.
right? Constantly having to pivot. And the best decisions are ones that are thought out. And you're on your journey. Your business is a reflection of you, right? What you're doing. Um, so I do tremendous work. Even I was a great line from one this female CEO. She was climbing Mount Everest, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and and she had slept like 15 or 20 minutes. But the guide is like, okay, you want to reach the top, woke her up. Now's the time we're going to go because we can't, right? We can't go any other time.
Mhm.
So she made a choice. It's like, I can be stressed and tired, or I can just be tired, right? It's like, and then she went, and
Hmm.
that, that decision of understanding, how do I feel? What am I feeling? Being self-aware. I think that applies in personal, trying to be extremely present with the kids, obviously with my wife. This year we're together 20 years. So it's a long time, many ups and downs, but that's
Yeah,
it's really in a lot of miracles, a lot of miracles, I'd say. Right? Faith plays big part in that.
it is. Absolutely. People don't think about that anymore, but I think people that are faith-based are just happier.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not you. You realize it's you're irrelevant. It's like not
That's
in a
right.
bad way. It's like just give it over. Like they say,
Yep.
give it to God or give it to the universe, whatever. It doesn't really matter, that you're
That's right.
practicing, not practicing, but a belief in something greater than yourself.
It's nice having that person right there with the imaginary or whatever hand on your shoulder guiding you, and that's the way I see it, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's how I start my day, I mean, just the meditation, the devotions, just give the whole day to whoever, and it just makes me happier. I'm a little less stressed going on the day. And you talk about doing that because what's important, I think, is parenting with a purpose that you do. So many entrepreneurs, so many people, they said, I'll just hire a nanny. I don't have time for these kids. I don't, and they just kind of with the kids, and just the importance of, because now your children are going to be so much more adjusted. They're going to be, they know their parents. So I think that's extremely important, that you're actually with a purpose, giving them time
Yeah.
and teaching them. What else can you say about that for our listeners that are busy? They're working 80 hours a day in tech, or they're working 80 hours. The importance of, hey, you know what? This is your legacy also, not just the money in the bank.
You're going to be spending just practically later, uh, every day, every day. And again, I there are good days and tough days with my kids. But if you don't, right, I always say lead with unconditional love, and that's unconditional. It's no condition, meaning whatever they're going to tell you, you don't judge it, right? You have to stand front and center of what that is. And the same energy you put into your business, whatever you're doing, same towards your wife and same towards your kids, right? Um, Balance with intention, right? Not saying that you are, because time goes by.
Yep.
Time goes by. A friend of mine, he's like, just in the past 2 days, one friend said, my kid has some addiction issues. They're
Mhm.
16, 15, 16. And the other one said to me, how do I deal with it? And the other one said, but my kid doesn't even speak to me. And they're again like 15, 16. Like, what do I do? I don't know. I'm just trying to do I'm trying to just connect just like everybody else. And like I said, they started, my two boys, they started a vending machine business. I wanted them to learn the basics. They don't learn that in school. Income, expense,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not helping you. If it's an emergency, you can call on me. But you're gonna grow out into the world, and the world is tough.
Mhm.
Resilience, right? You gotta push these kids. Don't be sitting around and then you're complaining and blaming everybody else. Can't, right?
That's right. Absolutely. And that's so important. It's like it comes down to right here, this person, yourself. And and you teach them, there's going to be challenges. And you want those challenges because you're going to learn from them. And it's like going, hey, try owning hotels during COVID. You know, it was best, and I always tell people it could have been the best thing that ever happened to me because it made me stop, made me think out of the box, made me, learn. So these types of divisive, and challenges and things like that, they're really good for you, So you want the kids to sit there and have some challenges in life, but have them think it out. Um, and kind of along with that, with the common denominator podcast, um, you talk about strategies to sharpen the mindset and crush your limiting beliefs. Give us some examples, a little bit about how I can sit there, kind of phase out all the social media, phase out all the world, and sharpen my mindset on different tasks at hand.
I always think about turning the flashlight on yourself, where if people are seeing not only are they not happy with results, get to look at results,
Hmm.
but also how am I feeling? Everybody really knows, am I giving maximum to a certain situation? Because that is what fills your heart and fills your
Mhm.
soul, right? So So we bring in top athletes, top finance, top business people. And what I find is it's this, what's that commonality?
Hmm.
It's they all made a choice and they're willing. That's the first thing. I don't, I'm not happy with A. I want B. I want something else. Am I going to put it? I always say take pen and paper.
Mm-hmm.
Step one, right? Like practical tools. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What, and again, because we have habits, right? So you've been acting a certain way. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we're a product of our habits.
Yep.
So I say, don't, everybody, because it fails, don't jump so fast and change everything. Change one thing. I love that idea of, make your bed in the morning
Mm-hmm.
or something, right? Instead of drinking soda, drink a glass of water.
Yep.
Do something that is better for you. And then you're going to see, oh, wow, I feel better here. So do more of that feeling better stuff, right? And then over time, because we all have a tendency to abuse for a long period of time, and most of us have different addictions and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's just the way it is. But slow and steady, slow and steady, and create better habits. Okay, I'm gonna go to the gym twice a week.
Yep.
I'll see what it is, um, and then from that, I'm going to read a book every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but people know what it is. We're just kind of on like autopilot because we're just doing a lot of the things that make us comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's inevitable that comfortable and uncomfortable will be happening through life. But the great thing about choosing to make yourself uncomfortable or choosing to do the work is that you controlled it. Otherwise, if you're just doing a bunch of, instant gratification stuff, and then it's going to be things that you don't control. And that feeling of uncontrol spirals to the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in control, like, okay, then I have a higher tolerance for things. Then I don't get so emotional about it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you have your brain and you're
Mm-hmm.
calm. And you're able to think through things.
Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic, Moshe. So, is there anything before I let you go that you'd like to inform our audience? Maybe something I didn't hit on that you really wanted to get into?
Well, I saw a stat, and this, as a father of 11, I'm just going to put this out there because I respectfully disagree. But I saw the U.S. Surgeon General, and I mentioned this before the show,
Mm-hmm.
recently came out and said that being a parent is causing tremendous, um, uh, it's a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
As like, and I saw that, and it really took me by surprise. And I think the greatest thing for me personally is, I mean, I think it's crazy. Like my wife just said, only now after 11 kids, she's like, I can't believe I gave birth to 11 kids. And, but the amount of push that having these kids forced me to grow. I believe the whole purpose is personal growth and development of why we're here, each on our own path and our journey. Um, but the opposite, if we embrace it, if we embrace, you know, having a family, having kids, I think that it goes, each kid I saw personally, the amount of success was compounding. So, um, and it's just about of choosing, letting go of the things that I call them noise, that
Mm-hmm.
are not benefiting you, and life's short. And we do have time. We do have time. Went to the beach the other day. I was in, I took the kids to the Bahamas, and we go on vacations. But there's a time and place, so you can have great things. And I believe if people are willing to choose, like I always think of that like 10-year time frame. I'm willing to take 10 years so I can have the rest of my life, right? I'm going to be dedicated to this. I'm going to really, really grind this out so I can have the rest of my life, um, to be able to do other things that I love to do.
Yeah, very good. I mean, it's like above my office. Build a life I don't need a vacation from. That's
Love
my.
that.
I get up every morning and say, you know what? I can work anywhere in the world. I can do whatever I want. I don't need a vacation because I love what I do. And I think that's, what you're telling our listeners today. How can people, if they're interested in learning more about you, how can people find you?
So our podcast, which we have almost 200 episodes, a lot of mindset, a lot of business advice, real estate, and you can pick and choose. It's common denominator. It's on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, wherever you find podcasts. And then we have a lot of social. We have LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, M Popack, Moshe Popack, and you could find us there.
There you go. Well, Moshe, thank you so much for coming on the Richer Geek Podcast, giving us a little bit of insight about just kind of calming down, just some of the things to make life a little less busy and getting rid of that white noise, as I call it, and being able to focus. And you must do extremely well having 11 kids, all these businesses. That ability to focus is exceptional. Thank you so much for coming on the Richer Geek Podcast. Have a great evening.
Thanks so much, Mike. Thank you.